David Atkins, targeted individuals. So today I'm going to revisit some information I've done explained: multitasking, spontaneity, redirection, and quenching. Very important stuff in throwing off mind control. Like when I used to be homeless on the streets and I would get ready to make a move or go somewhere, I would never go the same way twice. I would just try to move my body without thinking. You know what I'm saying? Like if I'm going straight and they know that I usually take a right, I'll take a left or I'll keep going straight without even thinking about it. Just do it. Spontaneity. Anyway, I'm going to explain it better and I've reworded this to a different thing. So it's not really the same information, but it is kind of, but it's just reworded in a different way. Multitasking. Very important. Okay, it disrupts the frequencies and stuff when your mind is going on three things at once. It throws it off. If you're just sitting in isolation, not doing nothing, your mind will receive the frequencies and the remote neural monitor and stuff like that through your normal everyday responses. But if you change it up and learn how to multitask. Multitasking causes you to think in multiple threads. When you're constantly thinking in multiple threads, multiple tasks or thoughts, then there's no coherent pattern for the perps to establish and integrate into remote neural monitoring data. In other words, integration completion between the R&M system and your brain is hindered, and without your response to that specific impulse injection, the R&M verification process breaks apart. The CIA and NSA perps are using a falsified or fabricated stream to interfere your memory and thought process. Once you become dependent, which means you believe their impulse injections are your own, on the system's output, or they believe your responses to it are consistent, they will begin to fabricate subconscious responses, which they will pretend are indicators of honesty, dishonesty, positive recognition, anxiety, etc. And they will use these impulse injections to convince you that the fabricated responses are your own. If you're unaware of this constant mental manipulation, the system will begin to shape your thoughts and behavior. They will use this to restrict your thoughts and behavior by blocking your memory and thought processes while these suggestions are being provided, and the interference is triggered and can be activated at wills by the attackers. Again, you can defeat remote neural monitoring attacks by constantly multitasking, thinking about multiple things at once, and by ignoring random encounters with strangers you don't know. Such encounters are engineered by the perps in order to solicit an emotional response from you, which their R&M system can measure. You can not only see through the system attempts to manipulate you, but to also manage their ability to evaluate your responses by controlling the verification process. By working through the remote neural memory blocks and counter the system's ability to influence your choices. It will begin to feel as though you are thinking in two threads. Just learn how to multitask. Now, spontaneity. Never follow a set pattern of conduct. Always change your behavior every day at a moment's notice. Do this when you're quickly, not slowly, on the move, as it's more difficult for the R&M system, to monitor your thoughts while you're in rapid action. If you decide to go to a grocery store, go to the convenience store instead. Change it up every day. Don't do the same things over and over as that established pattern of conduct. Remember, they are trying to alter your daily motives and emotional perceptions. The remote neural monitoring system is designed to provoke you emotionally so they can generate response statistics, which the system will use to determine how to interpret and link descriptions about data captured about your memory references. This is why they're constantly trying to keep you talking or constantly stopping you and asking you directions. So ignore prolonged random encounters with people you don't know. You're not being rude, just refusing to allow them to manipulate you. Once they have consistent statistics, the system will use previous choice references and inject them into your subconscious thought during normal activity, which is referred to as impulse injections, to convince you that the response was your own and influence you to complete or describe the reference by making the appropriate verbalizing or performing a related action, which is known as verification. You can fight or control this if you learn to defeat these memory attacks by learning to read active memory. Once they see what you respond to emotionally or intellectually, they will fabricate conversational or situation scenarios, street theater, based on events or topics they know will capture your attention. This is why the perps try to keep you talking for so long. not just to aggravate you, but to provoke you into an emotional response so they can map your thought process in order to inject impulses and control your mind. This is why the feds try to keep people close to you by approaching you and befriending you with a hot girl or so-called honey traps. Here's how you stop this from happening. Ignore all prolonged random encounters with strangers you don't know and be spontaneous. The same remote neural attacks can be disrupt your speech if the attackers decide to prevent you from discussing a specific topic or repeating a given word. The system can be configured to disrupt your recollection when formulating a related statement or inject gibberish triggered substitution while you're attempting to speak. The goals of these attacks appear to be threefold: censorship, memory management, and direct behavioral control. These people are not concerned with legal constraints or particularly acceptable way of life. They simply use anything against you: hate, joy, anything you enjoy, hate, or appreciate to abuse you regardless of your behavior. So they give you a compliment, realize they're only doing it to see how you respond when they turn around to negate it and torture you at night. If you constantly handle your state of activity as well as your situational perception, you'll recognize conflicting impulses, although it's impossible for the system to overpower your impulses. If you understand the attacks, you'll be able to recognize the physical changes resulting from these powerful impulses, and this should prompt you to reevaluate your current state. Unless you've been tortured to near incoherency, you should be able to fight the system's influence. These RMN attacks are most effective when you're stepping through sequence tasks, so try to avoid zoning on your activities. How? By changing your items and activities randomly and constant speed of thought. Don't always plan out or think about your daily itinerary. If you don't have to, just do it. So therefore, if I'm going to go to, if I go to one church, I might just go to a different church that day. Walk towards that church and then boom, veer off, go to a different church, or walk my normal route and then boom, throw a little curveball in the route, or just do different stuff. If I'm thinking about going, like I said earlier, if I'm thinking about going to the store and the grocery store, go to a gas station instead. Just don't, spontaneously just make a move. Don't think about it. Remote neural manipulation is accomplished via their system's ability to interpret your thoughts and is wholly dependent on its ability to predict influence your reference choices during thought composition. The system maps patterns, impulses, and identifiers, evoke potentials, and uses statistical data about your composition habits to predict how you will think or act as you begin to formulate thoughts and prepare to act. The system's ability to define and map these references intelligibly depends on your cooperation or ignorance, and the attacker's ability to make sense of what they can see visually or what they can guess based on your activity. Next, I'm going to talk about quenching, but I'm going to stop here. When I was going to all them states in 2018, they had my GPS hacked and I was on foot, so therefore I would walk around the city spontaneously. I would never go back the same way twice, never go same way twice to a location from where I was staying. If I left the Salvation Army, I might go one way one morning, I might go one way the next morning. I never kept it the same pattern. You always want to switch up to confuse these networks. Or I might hang out on Bourbon Street 2 days in a row, and then I might switch and go hang out on Royal. And people from New Orleans know what I'm talking about. And when I was homeless, like I said, my GPS was hacked, so I had to learn how to walk a city. I could walk a city and map it out in 2 days and know everywhere in the city. And I had to learn that. My instincts had to tell me that because my GPS was hacked. So if I was looking on my GPS, it's taking me away from where I really want to go. Just like last August, somebody bought me a plane ticket to Connecticut. I had 12 hours. Well, I had 15 hours to get there. I walked 13 miles in the wrong direction, and my GPS showed me getting closer and closer to the airport every time. Cops stopped me and said, "Oh, you're in Sevierville." I said, "Sevierville? I thought I was in Memphis, getting closer to the airport." He said, "No, you're going directly opposite the airport." Well, my GPS was hacked. It was showing the airport getting closer and closer. So you have to watch out with that too. So I had to learn to map out the city, and I can't believe I fell for that. So I had to walk 13 miles back, sleep under a bridge. And by the time I got that, so it was 26 miles in August of last year in 2023. August of 2022, 26 miles in night and day. Well, I started at 8 o'clock at night, and then I got right back to my place at 4 in the morning, 4 or 5 in the morning under the bridge. And I took my clothes off and just slept in my box. I was so exhausted. I just slept under the bridge again. This bridge I was sleeping under, you have to walk through these hard rocks to get up to under it. I remember that. So watch out and make sure your GPS is not hacked before you go somewhere. Quenching. They will constantly run you through a verification routine where the system probes you for a particular set of responses repeatedly in order to establish a pattern. If you're interacting and encountering these probes, the operator will vary the routine and attempt to verify via different methods. Once the system verifies the selected responses, they will be used in the next wave of harassment routines. The process is endless, and you will see effects clearly if you're consistently defeating the system. If you're not defeating the remote neural system, then you will not see or notice the effects. The way to defeat the remote neural monitoring system is by quenching. You quench remote neural monitoring by interacting and countering their tactics. None of what these people are collecting could ever be used in a case against you. Every piece of information collected by their system can be considered falsified or fabricated because the system is designed to continuously provide suggestions according to the data which has been previously collected about your current activity. And the accuracy of the reference descriptions is extremely low since the attackers don't really care about truth, and the system will fabricate statements or imagery while they're abusing you. The fabrications are generally the result of misinterpretation of references and emotional indicators, as well as a distortion of injection feedback in addition to false entries added manually by the attackers as a result of their inability to understand what they're viewing or their malintent. There's no reliable way for the attackers to determine what is true, even if they try to apply their observation to the aforementioned indicators. An attempt to prove guilt within their system would be equivalent to a cop dropping a gun at a crime scene and claiming it belonged to some individual who happened to be passing by, random and falsified. There's no legal application for the system or anything generated it. They will only capture what they want to abuse you with, and when they decide to censor your thoughts, they will force you into an abusive, incoherent thought pattern using injection and block methods mentioned above. For example, when you suddenly experience sudden severe aggression and agitation, it's the perps, not you. It's part and parcel mind control. They injected those impulses. Remember, they want to keep you constantly thinking about them. You can limit and counter this effect by learning to read memory while blocking their system. However, it takes quite a bit of skill and self-awareness, and this is known as redirection. Redirection is simple. When the remote neural attack happens, the impulses and thoughts are introduced in your mind by strong urge, high-frequency attack, or silent motivation. Low-frequency attack just changes the thread of thought. This hinders integration completion between your brain and the RMNM system. You do this by establishing what is known as working reference. The Bible says whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything's excellent or praiseworthy, think about it. And that was from Philippians 4:8. You can thwart their remote neural monitoring attacks by establishing a working reference each time they attempt to inject impulses and thoughts in your brain. This is done by recognizing something in your life that makes you very happy, then refocusing or redirecting back to that happy experience in life each time you are attacked through R&M. If you can do this each day, their attacks will simply be an annoyance to you, as you can work around it, but we can still hinder performance tremendously, as you will be forced to test, validate memory, and constantly, and the physical sensations of your system radiating your brain will be both irritating and distracting. American mind control technologies contain several major flaws. One fatal flaw, the sheer greed of American government contractors who are willing to skew the data to keep up their contracts with the U.S. DoD. And the Bible verse for today is Galatians 6:9. Let us not grow weary, and that's tired, in well doing, for in due season we will reap if we faint not. That means don't faint, don't give up, just keep going. You will reap something good. Don't let these people make you bitter, and go do something stupid. And I might as well do this speech again. I do this once every 3 or 4 months because. And I've done a video about this stuff before, but they what they'll do is these perks will erase this memory of this video out of your head or this information out of your head. So, and I've made so many videos, it's not easy to find the video that I did on this. So, so I think it's important to do that. And remember, don't go out shooting people, don't go out hurting people, act out in violence to stop this, because it's not going to stop. It's just going to make the target individual community look worse than we already are by smear campaigns and false lies and false information spread about us and stuff like that. So, don't let these perps make you go be an active shooter or nothing like that. Like the dude, I don't know what happened, but they say that he blew his own house up, and he was conspiracy theorist, and he might have been a targeted individual and all that. Well, if he was a targeted individual and he did blow his house up, which they may have staged all that, who knows? Then he done it the wrong way, man. We just need to be known as the people we are before they lied about us. We want to be the same people that we were when the lies started on us, the good people we were. So, I don't encourage violence. Target individuals, don't go lash out in violence. I encourage you just take this with lads and be as nice as you can to people. And don't never let them see you sweat, so to speak. But yeah, try to walk in niceness and kindness. And I know that a lot of y'all are frustrated, and I know that they're killing us slowly but surely. But to go out and act out in violence, look at Myron May. They just swept it up. I think the CBS report said Florida State University ex-student was running from the police and stopped in and shot up Florida State University. Well, that's not what happened at all. And if you watch the videos, which got swept under the rug, that he made, telling people he was going to do this on YouTube, they never got mentioned. And he thought it was going to get mentioned. And that was why I done the video on it, because he asked in his video for any target individual, as his death wish is to spread them videos around of where he's explaining what went on with him. And he goes into gang stalking and stuff pretty good. He covers anchoring, baiting, and all that in his videos. But he did ask. So, but what he didn't accomplish nothing. They swept it under the rug. The media acted like he didn't care. Matter of fact, his videos didn't even get media attention. When the average man, if they'd make videos telling what they were going to do like that or something like that and put it on YouTube, and then they would have died, man, it would have been like, man makes videos days before he does this. That was not mentioned at all. And he done it because he thought that he was going to get notoriety and get attention brought to the subject, and it just got swept under the rug. So anyway, God bless all target individuals. I've been having it rough last 3 or 4 weeks. My ears are calming down a little bit. However, I'm still getting the popping sensation, and yes, I'm still vibrating when I close my eyes. I'm still getting bouts of nausea, my head heating up very, very hot, having to go to the freezer, get a towel out of the freezer, wrap it around my head, and do something for the nausea. Very bad nausea, very bad heat, shocks to the brain when I close my eyes, and a lot more stuff. V2K, I don't like talking about that. I don't like recognizing it. I try to keep it ignored. I don't even like bringing it up. Now, if I'm in a stressful situation, my V2K will affect me bad. So anyway, God bless ever TI, and I hope this helps somebody out there. Have a good day.